You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
That'll read script reads me.
Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the trouble irresponsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
the sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
more alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 We trade actors, motherfucker.
Hey, good day to you all. Oh my God. Welcome to the new. I'm your host, Randy Purham. Sorry for being approximately 10 minutes late. Had to go take care of something unexpectedly an hour ago, and I thought I'd be back in time, but it is what it is. I apologize. So if you had logged off and said, screw him, I completely understand. Show is being recorded and will be uploaded later on. I was trying to stream to YouTube and Facebook, and it blocked me and said I cannot stream outside outside this program. Strange, but that brings me to the next point. This morning I had to create a new Facebook page because my primary page is being shadow banned. It has a nice banner saying that I'm restricted and all that good stuff. So I just went ahead on create a new page. So for those that are watching, I am Randy Purham 2, the second, and that page is legit. That is me. So if you send me a friend request, if I like you, I will accept you. If we have problems in the past, anyways, it's Fantastic Friday, RED Friday. That for those that don't know what RED means, that means remember everyone deployed. This is the time that we take to thank our men and women who serve our nation across the world and defend our freedoms, our liberties, and our way of life, with the exception of being shadow banned on social media. We salute you. We thank you. We appreciate everything that you do for us. And with that, speaking of being blocked and all that good jazz, Larry Elder, he let me get to it here. He filed a lawsuit in California this week because he was blocked from being put onto the recall race, the gubernatorial recall race. There we go, tongue twister there. And for reasons pretty petty. The Secretary of State there, Shirley Weber, blocked him from being on the ballot because she said that he did not redact certain parts of his tax returns, which was a requirement for gubernatorial candidates to submit at least 5 years of their tax returns. He submitted that and some, and the judge, Lori Earle, sided with Elder, saying that first off, it's a recall race, and the law only stipulated for primary elections. So technically, he didn't have to provide anything. So she sided in his favor and was enforced state of California Secretary of State there, Board of Elections, to admit him onto the ballot. So congratulations to Larry Elder on fighting the system of oppression, and good job. And currently he's ahead by polling data of 10 points in the gubernatorial race there, the recall of Gavin Newsom. The nuisance, I call him Gavin Nuisance. He's being recalled because of his shenanigans and his antics there in California. So that's that. But outside of that, Larry Elder, he's been on the scene for decades, and a lot of people in California have much regard and respect for his work, for his commentary and everything else. So I would be hard pressed, and the name recognition is a big plus for him. So I would be hard pressed to see that he does not make it through the recall process and end up winning. I'd be surprised if he doesn't win. I'm not sure about all the other candidates. I have not followed California's politics, so I don't care. I'm just be real. But the other candidate, Caitlyn Jenner, she may come out okay in the race. I don't know. I kind of doubt it. She kind of fell off. First the excitement was there for her to win, to run and everything, but it's been pretty quiet lately. So more to come. We'll see how that goes. And moving right along. This is gonna be a quick show, ladies and gentlemen, because I do have to go back and take care of what I was out taking care of. So, but the Keystone Pipeline. This ordeal, the company TECN Energy has decided to file a lawsuit against the Biden administration for, I don't know what's going on with this thing today. My system is just not working. It's not cooperating. I apologize. But anyways, Keystone Pipeline, the TECN Energy Corporation has filed a lawsuit for $15 billion against the Biden administration for breach of free trade obligation. And this was I guess you could say an agreement under the USMCA, formerly known as the NAFTA trade agreement. And so they're filing a lawsuit on it, and I'm on the fence with this one, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna be honest. I'm in agreement with the company filing a lawsuit against the Biden administration, but I'm also in the disagreement that we should pay for it. And by us, meaning the taxpayers, because if they end up winning this case, that $15 billion is going to come out of taxpayers' dollars. It's not like the Biden administration or Biden himself is going to write a check for $15 billion and that's it. No, this is going to come through by way of appropriations through Congress and everything else, because the United States, in a sense, is being sued. So, the same token, I kind of disagree about that part, but at the same token, it is a win for the workers and the Americans that were affected, and Canadians for that matter, that were affected by this rash, ill-thought out position that the Biden administration took the first week of office. Now, there's the what do you call those tree huggers, environmentalists that are that are targeting now, wanting the Biden administration to put a nix on the other pipelines there, the Dakota pipeline. Right now, he already put a freeze on the ANWR pipeline project, which affects Alaskans. And so a lot of Alaskans are pissed off about that, and so there's some contention there, and I get it. The left, some on the right, they want to move to, you know, green, clean energy and everything else, and trying to get away from fossil fuels such as oil and everything, oil and natural gas. But here's the thing. You have to have something in its place. And you have to understand the dynamics in which these energy sources affect daily lives. So for people to just assume that you can just all of a sudden just stop using oil, you're showing ignorance. You have a vehicle, you need to get an oil change done. If you have machinery that requires oil, so there's going to be an exponential need for oil for the next several decades until everyone has the ability and the affordability to move to alternative sources of mobility, alternative sources of just resources, period, you know, your day-to-day living. So to just make irrational, rash decision to just cut off certain things, which now we are relying again upon other countries for the import of oil. Duh. Wow. Yeah, okay. And on top of that, if you're so concerned, if the Biden administration was so concerned, while I'm on that subject, because it was burning a hole in my ass, if you were so concerned about green energy and moving away from the fossil fuel industry and rejoining the Paris Climate Accord and showing support to France and everybody else with this Paris Climate Accord and everything else, and you're trying to push all these green-friendly policies, then why in the hell did you approve the Russia-German pipeline? I'm confused. But anyway, folks, we're going to jump to a commercial break. We'll be right back. Keep it locked right here.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Now we need to go to community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, and oftentimes door to door, literally knocking on doors to get help to the remaining people protected from the virus.
Can I help you?
Oh, hi. I'm with the Biden administration. Do you have a minute for me to tell you about the non-FDA approved injection we desperately want you to get?
Why the hell are you knocking on my door?
I'll take that as a yes. We've been reviewing your medical records and it appears as though you haven't gotten the...
That's illegal.
Indeed. And what they show is you haven't gotten the shot yet. So I'm here on your private property to pressure you into doing so.
Letting politicians decide what medicines I take is insane. You're not doctors, you're not even qualified.
We're politicians. We like power. And we feel that qualifies us to do whatever we want.
It absolutely doesn't. What I put in my body is my choice, and I'll consult my doctor over that because he knows me personally. Because it's a medical issue.
No, ma'am. This is more of a political issue. You can trust us.
You're part of the government, and you work for me. And you being here is a complete infringement on my rights. You need to read the Constitution.
At the Biden administration, we don't believe in the Constitution. It's not really how we want to govern, so you need this shot.
The fact that you really want me to get this thing makes you look really, really suspicious.
Thank you. You don't even know the half of it.
And the more you push this thing, the more I doubt the safety.
Oh no. When you look at this spreadsheet with our profit margins, you'll see that what we're working with here is totally safe for business. And the long-term clinical trials of an hour and a half are squeaky clean. You have nothing to worry about.
It seems like you just want control.
For your protection, yes. Thank you for seeing. We're just looking out for your best interests with our propaganda campaigns, censorship, and now me being here knocking on your door. You're welcome for all that we've been doing.
Are people dumb enough to believe that?
Some are. Now, I would really like to stab you with this needle and inject what's in it that you have no control over into your body.
Absolutely not.
I kind of just want to do it anyway.
My body, my choice, you creep.
That's not the way we see it. At the Biden administration, we look at it as your body, our choice. It's kind of a Bill Cosby-inspired mentality we've adopted.
Get off my property now. Get the off my property.
No. I don't understand. Are you saying you don't want the shot that you've chosen not to get? Wait. While I'm here, do you mind if I confiscate all your guns?
Go ahead and try.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Hey, welcome back. So, that commercial, I love it. I love that commercial because it speaks so poignantly to so many different things in one construct. If people have not paid attention, if you notice, there's a segment of our population that refuses to get the vaccine under any reason, any circumstances. I'm included in that bunch. Then you have those on the left who are trying to push and force and shame people into getting the vaccine, right? If you notice, there's a paradigm shift there. Those on the right who are, in terms of abortion, are pro-life, women shouldn't get abortions, blah, 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 right? Those on the left, they say they're pro-choice. They support the right to abortion, the right to choose, and everything else. Now that ideology has flip-flopped when it comes to the vaccine. It's so funny to watch that unfold. And I kind of took notice of that, like last week in another discussion when somebody was like, well, you're being selfish if you're not, considering the life of others. And it's like, well, damn, that's the same argument that we have about abortion, about a baby. Our body, our choice, right? That's what you proclaim. Your body, your choice. So if I choose not to get the vaccine, what's the problem? If you choose not to have a baby, what's the problem? Silence. Thank you. So, moving on to about vaccines. Interestingly enough, goes into another topic here. This week, actually this morning, I read a story that 7 people down in El Paso over the age of 50 died this week. Fully vaccinated, but died with COVID, not from COVID. There's a difference. There's wordplay there, ladies and gentlemen. There's wordplay. They had COVID, but they also had underlying comorbidities that contracting COVID just exacerbated those conditions. Subsequently, they died. So when we have this discussion on a grander scale of things about vaccines, the efficacy of them, and everything else, we have to consider some things here. Number one, if 6 Texas Democrats that flew from Texas to Washington, D.C. and infected a Pelosi staffer and a White House staffer, and they had COVID amongst themselves and everything else, and they allegedly are all vaccinated, then is this vaccine really viable for everyone to take? Is it really doing what it is that it's supposed to do? Now, that's the Texas Dems. I already mentioned the 7 folks in El Paso. And Oklahoma, 15 people that was at a wedding, all vaccinated. 15 people got COVID. So where are we at with this right now? There some statistics showing that 83% of the people who are vaccinated with this Delta variant, 83% of the people that are vaccinated are still getting COVID. And the 97% that are hospitalized right now are unvaccinated. It's a play on numbers, because you have to give me the whole number and then throw percentages in there for me to extrapolate, okay, is this bad or is this okay? Is this the median? Whatever. Or if 97% is only, 2 people out of 4, 3 people out of 4, or whatever, then you're okay, stop the madness. So just get into the fidelity of that, and then you will understand what's going on here. But there's no mention of, you notice also within this conversation now that there's no mention of those that had COVID without vaccine that recovered and had comorbidities that survived. There's no talk about that. There's no talk about those that have been vaccinated with comorbidities still got COVID, but are still alive. There is really no conversation about that either. All we're hearing about is unvaccinated people getting COVID, dying, and those with vaccines are dying. There's no digging into the details. They're even excluding like age groups and racial ethnic backgrounds. They're even starting to exclude that. So you got to pay attention to the conversation a little bit and start asking those probing questions like, okay, so this person that had the vaccine, fully vaccinated, what else was going on with them? Well, it doesn't matter. They had COVID and they died. Well, no, it does matter. Because having a comorbidity is the factor in which would subsequently make the person die. You see, so that matters. And all of a sudden, Bill Gates and George Soros last week, somewhere around there, in between there, they bought out one of the companies that produces the test kits for the test for COVID. Now, my ingenious mind, why is it that these two yahoos are buying one of the main companies that produces the test kits, the same yahoos that are pushing the vaccines and everything else? I know why. Because you have a corner on the market of testing kits. You can produce test kits that will test positive for the slightest strain, making a person go into panic mode and go get a vaccine, and you're ching-chinging on the other side of that, pushing the governments around the world to purchase more vaccines for the population because you're yielding test results that are positive. Folks, we're on to your scheme of maneuver. That's why there are so many people pushing back against the vaccines, because it's like, first off, we don't even know what you're putting into our bodies. You don't even know what you're trying to put into our bodies, for the most part, and we don't know the long-term effects. And President Trump said this back 2 years ago, almost now, that we're rushing to do a cure that's worse than the disease. The cure would be subsequently the cure is worse than the disease itself, and it's starting to prove that. There's some speculation right now that a lawsuit has been filed. I haven't gotten too much into this story, but apparently the CDC and these other medical reporting systems have been lying and covering up the fact that there's actually 45,000 people that have died from the vaccine so far. So, versus the 11,000 that they're proclaiming. So, when you take those numbers and you compare it to actual COVID soul, not comorbidity, with comorbidity, but COVID soul death. Like the person caught COVID, was a fully healthy person, and they just killed over because they had COVID and nothing else is going on with them. The numbers are quite stark. Now, we won't be able to identify what those numbers are ever, because if you remember back when the reporting of COVID started, I know this show is going to get blocked. I already know it because I'm saying COVID too many times, but that's okay. I'm recording this, so it'll be uploaded on other platforms. But if you look at back a couple of years ago, anybody that sneezed, anybody that got shot, anybody that got into a car accident and they died and they were tested, they were chucked up into COVID numbers, when it was inherently an absolute false that's what killed them. It was like, I was sitting back in Italy and I was just like, that makes no damn sense. Like, they haven't even came out with a testing kit yet. So how are they determining that this person had COVID? They didn't even do an autopsy. Like, they got the body, chucked it in the freezer. Nope, they died of COVID. It's like, wait, what? Come to find out this person had cancer. It was about to die anyway. or they had a heart attack. So, like, what are we talking about here? And we all remember the Secretary of Health in Illinois. She even admitted on TV that when we get cases coming in that we're automatic and they have COVID, regardless of what else they died from, we would write off as that they had COVID. It's like, what the hell? No. They implemented a system to dupe the taxpayers to forking up money to pay them for something that wasn't even true. And we're looking at it right now. We see it right now. This Delta variant, whatever variant they want to come up with, a different strain, it's going to be a different strain of this thing every year from now on, because we have such a vast population, vast ethnic backgrounds, all sorts of demographics going on that would cause strains to evolve and change up and everything else. So sit back, pump your brakes, relax. Even if I get it and I die, that's life. So, anyways, moving on. I got this great story I came across last night out of New Jersey. I'm actually have to blow this one up because you have to see it. This judge decided that by the name of Gary Bundy in New Jersey ordered Patricia Delascio, that's the name, to remove these particular flags off of her property because they are offensive to other neighbors and the potential children that may walk by since there's a school a block away. And because of the fact that it contains obscene language, one of the prosecuting attorneys, to include the judge, said that the First Amendment is not absolute without consequence, which I kind of agree with that statement. And the lady's attorney, Mr. Delascio's attorney, Michael Campagna, he argued the fact that, back in the 1920s, it was considered obscene for women to be able to show skin above the knees. So, the times is changing, and certain language is not considered to be offensive or, what have you, especially given, video games. If you want to use kids as the mechanism of trying to shut down free speech, then what about, I'm going to move this over to the small corner. What about, you see what I did there? What about video games? What about TV shows? We're not censoring those things. Just because you throw up a parental discretion is advised, or you put M plus 17 or something like that on the video game labels, does not preclude exposure to children from the language, from the nudity scenes, from the video game content. They're going to be exposed to it. And hell, right now we have the push in schools to expose kids to sexuality. So are we censoring that? No, we're not. But having a flag up in your yard, on your property, because it can be because other people can see it, you're offended by it. There's a lot of things that you can go outside and somebody can be potentially offended by it. But hey, that's life. If we're going to run around and try to police every single phrase, banner, idea, or what have you, because it is deemed offensive, then no one should be talking, because somebody's going to be offended by what's coming out of somebody else's mouth, or what they're showing, what they're wearing, or whatever else. I was in Walmart yesterday evening, and picking up some groceries for the week, and walked around, and I was I'm always people observing, and there were a few people that were wearing some questionable items in Walmart. But this is no surprise to us. We've seen the videos, we've seen pictures, memes, and everything else. You go to Walmart and this is an entertainment show by itself type of thing. And I just, go on like, okay, it's whatever. If you're comfortable wearing that out the house in a public space, your titty meat all out, your booty cheeks all out, that's your business. But don't be mad when you get a response, because just as you are exercising your right, your First Amendment right to express yourself, somebody else is going to exercise their right to express themselves, and it may be directed towards you, because you're directing that towards them. That's how they're going to see it, and that's what it is. So that's how we have to be careful with how we want to proceed with the First Amendment or exercising our First Amendment rights, because what you dish out, you may receive, and then you be like, well, I'm offended or whatever. Hey, you didn't have that consideration when you decided to offend us, and it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Now, this is an expression. This hat here is an expression, an outward expression of, I may feel this way, I may not, but it's my right to wear something of expression. It is not the right of the government or agents of the government to dictate what is considered to be okay and what is not okay to be expressed. Now, I get it, for safety purposes, we're not going to go in a crowded movie theater and yell fire. I get that. We're not going to sit on an airplane and scream that there's a bomb. I understand that. Those kind of restrictions to free speech is understandable within the capacity of safety of the general public. There's a difference, ladies and gentlemen, and we can get into the weeds of all of that. But when we're talking about expressive speech outside of the capacity of endangering the lives of other people, because me saying fuck Biden is not endangering anyone's life at the end of the day, So there, we have to understand the dichotomy and the differences there. And I will also, revert back to, I had this discussion years ago. I think it was even on this show. I had a discussion years ago about profane language and using obscene, profane language. Folks, that is a social construct at the end of the day. I know we hate to admit that, but it's true. It is a social construct. Somewhere down the line, decades, hundreds of years ago or whatever, some yahoos sat around a table and said, these following words here are bad words and we shouldn't say them. And they came up with these particular set of words. But guess what? The etymology of these words changed throughout the years. That's the other thing. What it meant back then means something different now. Some of it is the same, but it's just shock value that you're throwing an expletive as an adjective or a verb, depending on the context. We say back in the day, I remember when I was in grade school, we used to be corrected when we was referencing a female dog. It was like, oh, that's a cute dog, and it was like, no, that's a bitch. And we're like, oh. But that was what it was. A female dog is a bitch. That's what the dictionary's definition of bitch is a female dog. But then we start applying it to people that act a certain way or being a certain way or whatever else. So we automatically, as a society, we change the meaning of language over time. And right now, I'm working on my term paper for class, and we're having this discussion right now with conservatism and liberalism, and how those two things have changed over time with positions, ideologies, and everything else. So depending on your age bracket that you fall under, being a liberal can mean something totally different to the next person. Same thing with being a conservative. So we have to be careful with how we label things and how we say that certain things mean something, because it may not mean the same thing to the next person. You may have a collective understanding, and that's fine, but don't try to make that the law, because it's a theory at the end of the day. Because if you go across the pond to Europe, these words fly everywhere. They're just part of the everyday language, and no one cares. And that's what it is, especially when I was living in Germany. The F word, the B word, calling somebody an asshole was like the greeting of the day, in Germany. So we kind of, like I said, we have to be careful with trying to be sensitive to language, but at the same token, try to apply language laws to everyday things that are social constructs. Because when we evolve as a society in the next 10 years, a lot of things that we're talking about today will be non-applicable to them. They're gonna be like, don't know what you talk about there, old timer. This is how we do it now, and we see it already. Look at the culture. Go outside and look at the culture that's going on today, folks. We're gonna jump to a commercial break real quick. We'll be right back, and we're gonna move on with life. So stick around, stay tuned.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Hey, welcome back. So, I want to preface something real quick about the last piece there about the use of language. I personally try not to be profane. I try not to be, especially on social media. I try not to be. However, in personal conversation, I will probably let some words fly, depending. But it's not to say it's a kind of a conformity to the social norm. You know, you don't sit in church and curse. However, I did have a minister. He would curse in church, and right on the pulpit, and he'll let it fly. You'd be like, wow. Okay. But it was context, and he got away with it, and a lot of the parishioners over time became accustomed to it, and they enjoyed it. He didn't do it like every Sunday or anything like that. He just every now and then, depending on what the scripture, the message was, and he let it rip. And it was like, huh, okay, that works. Okay, and we think about it, ass. When we hear the term ass, you don't automatically think about a donkey. You think about a person being an ass, or you may think about the rear end. So that's why I said, this is why I said earlier about language changing depending on context, content, you know, definitions over time and everything else. So relax, enjoy life, folks. Enjoy life. But a couple of breaking news in a sense, if you will. Representative Hank Johnson. This just popped up on my phone here, and I kind of laughed when I saw it. But Representative Hank Johnson was just arrested for at a voting rights protest. Capitol Police, Representative Hank Johnson was arrested by Capitol Police on Thursday during a protest on the Senate inaction on voting rights legislation. According to a video posted on Twitter, Johnson can be seen in the video with his hands restrained behind his back while participating in a chant with other protesters yelling, "Whose streets are streets? Whose house are house?" He is one of 10 people whom the Capitol Police arrested for unlawfully demonstrating outside the Hart Senate building and charged with crowding, obstructing, or incommoding. So, folks, as we see, the Democrats are unfolding Capitol Protest Part 2, like I said last week, because there was another representative that was arrested for her shenanigans. So, it is what it is. And then in other news, the U.S. soccer team lost to Sweden in their opening games in the Tokyo Olympics. They're 3-0 to Sweden. I would say it was instant karma, breaking their 44-game winning streak by protesting, saluting Black Lives Matter, kneeling during the anthems and what have you. And they proceeded to go into the field and got their asses stomped. So, see context, asses. Okay, folks. All right, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get back on the road. All right, it's a pleasure today. I apologize for being late once again, but you can pick up my book, The New You, Now Quit the Wisdom, on Amazon e-Kindle format. You can follow me on Twitter, my new Facebook page, Randy Purham 2. You can Twitter, Gap, MeWe, LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's see what else. I did USA Life. I'm on there now. I'm kind of tinkering around with that still. I will be getting on Gettr this weekend. I will set up that profile on Gettr. And yeah, that's about it. So you can go to my website, rpurhamforus.com, if you're wanting to contribute to my campaign run. Sign up for new emails. You can even support if you like. Sign up to be a supporter if you're in Alaska. I will be hitting that crew up there pretty soon. And outside of that, thank you all, and we'll see you all next week. Take care. God bless.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.